Hey, this is Allie Edwards, and in this video overview, I'm going to walk you through some of the project highlights from the creative team using the March 2018 Digital Stories by the Month kit. This digital kit is available in my shop. You do not need to have a subscription to grab a hold of these. These designs are also what will be used for next year's Physical Stories by the Month. Physical Stories by the Month is available via subscription. It's currently on a waiting list. The best way to access one of these kits in the future is to get on the waiting list as well. Here's a look at what was included in the March digital kit. We have digital chipboard, digital stamps, and then 3x4 and 4x6 journaling cards, as well as a quote card on there as well. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at how the creative team used these kits or the products from this kit this month. We're going to first up start with Amy Gretchen. One of the things that I love that she did with this one is really going big. I think one of the things that the creative team is really good at is using scale. And you're going to see that a few times as you're looking at the projects that they created using this digital kit. So going really big, that's a 3x8. She just took some of the word art and enlarged it. I mean, that's as simple as it has to be. She also printed out digital chipboard pieces, those rounded corner squares there, and paired them with some puffy sticker physical embellishments to go along with the photos that she has spread across the page. Next up, let's take a look at Brandy's 2-page 6x8 layout. One of the things that I love that Brandy did with this one is playing with the shape repetition and this idea kind of the triangles or things that are cut on a diagonal. I also really liked that she didn't do this symmetrically. So she cut the first page in half. So you have two of the same size triangles, but then on the second page, she had a triangle that was not cut to the same as she cut on the first page. And just having that little bit of variety in the shapes of the triangle, I really liked that as I was looking at it. The other really cool thing that you are probably noticing that she did is she basically double printed an enlarged text. And because this is digital, she could have just done this and then printed it all out together. But you could also do this with paper, where you would take a digital title like this, you would place the word art on top of a photo, and then you would also place it on top of just a plain background, print those out, and then cut them in a spot where they were going to be exactly the same. And you could also do this again with layers in Photoshop and have the colors be reversed. I just thought it was a really fun way to play around with enlarging the titles as well. Next up, we have a spread from Ingen, and a couple things that I noticed here. Number one, Ingen is a great storyteller, so it's really fun, and I always enjoy reading her stories. She's starting with a story. And in this case, she actually literally started with story 2 because she blogged this back in 2013 and then scrapbooked it just recently in March 2018. So she's using that idea of telling stories on her blog when she can and using that opportunity to write things out and then being able to scrapbook it when the opportunity arises. She also has 3 nice embellishment clusters that include circles and pattern circles. The 31 is for her age, and then she's got a couple other ones that are just patterns and one that says bring on the sun. Just also wanted to emphasize again, she has on the bottom there she literally added in that she blogged it in June of 2013 and then scrapbooked it in March of 2018. I always like that when I remember to do that, or when I've done this kind of thing before where I have where I really did start with story and I did the story, wrote the story a long time ago. I'd like to identify that somewhere in the journaling or somewhere on the page that ends up getting scrapbooked of when I actually wrote it and then when the page was made as well. Incan did a second layout this month using the digital kit. She added the Home Sweet Home word art onto a photo of her daughter with a fairy in the background. I love this picture. You have the mountains, and then you have some hills, then you have the fairy, then you have the people on the paddle boards, you have the water, then you have the sticky mud, sandy mud that we have here in the Northwest. So adjusting the opacity of the title, again, this is something that you can do in Photoshop to be able to see through the letters so that the pieces of your photo pop up from behind there. She's got a couple pattern strips on here that frame the text. I thought that was a really nice addition. It's just a little bit of something, right? It's a little something added on there. She also obviously started with story and had a bunch of her story written down onto the background cardstock as well. And then just coming back to the photo, I really like the atmospheric feel of this photo and the fact that her subject isn't centered. Each of the elements in this photo kind of exist on their own plane. So you have her daughter walking across the dirty sand that we have here. Then you have the paddle borders. And one of the things I really liked is that the paddle borders aren't standing directly in front of the ferry. So you're getting this really nice feeling of the layers within the photo and of how things recede into the background and how other things come forward. It's just a really beautiful photo as well. And so I think it's nice to kind of think about those things of how are the lines being used in your photo, what things are overlapping with other things, and how do each one of those exist in their own plane as well. Love looking at pictures like that. Next up, we have a 2-page 6x8 spread from Jen. A couple things I want to note here. I love how she included a copy of an email that she just added into the pocket, something that she wanted to celebrate related to her job. I thought it's just such a great reminder of that, we don't always have to write out stories. There's a lot of stories that are available to us if we are willing to copy and paste, or if we are willing to screenshot things. Those are stories that can go right into these kinds of pockets. I also love that she's celebrated National Meatball Day, but having silly things like that, and where she screenshotted that, and she also had additional story down below, right? Story down below that talks about. It's actually talking about how there was a special dispensation from the Archbishop to eat meatballs on Friday in Lent, and it cracked me up when I read it. So. If you are not taking the time to read the journaling in some of these projects, you may be missing out on story opportunities and just missing out on getting to learn about other people. I think that's one of the beautiful things about sharing all of these stories together, is that it's an opportunity for us to celebrate. It's an opportunity for us to laugh. It's an opportunity for us to show compassion to other people. I think that's part of the beauty of the community as well. Next up, we've got a really fun layout from Jen. I'm assuming this is a 12 by 12. So I love how she went big with the flower shape, using that to cut out that on the white cardstock, cutting out that big shape there, the flower shape. And then inside those shapes, she has patterns that are coming from the journaling cards. And she also has a photo of her daughter there. So having the combination of patterns, photos, and then the story that she did with the strip journaling, where she's she's tucking some of it inside underneath the leaves and some of it outside. I loved the combination of the two of those because it really shows you how this textural sort of thing of that it's paper, essentially. So I thought that looked really cool. And then she also used that look on the bright side title, and that was also cut out from the cardstock and then had some stuff behind it. So one of the things that's happened to me as I'm doing these videos, and I'm really enjoying this process of talking through the things that this creative team is doing, it's giving me ideas. It totally makes me want to go make things. Like I want to make these ones that Jen's been doing and that Laureen has been doing, where they're cutting out these shapes and then using that to frame their content. I really want to remember that. It makes me want to play so much. Here is one from Jenny. A couple things I loved about this one from Jenny. One is that she made her own pattern with word art from the kit. So a lot of times we've seen people who are stamping to create patterns. Well, she just took those words march details and she repeated them onto a 3x4 journal card at a larger size. I just think it looks really cool how you can read a couple of them, but the rest of them are unreadable, but you still know that that's part of the pattern. I thought that looked really cool. cool. Also, this one from Jenny is really about a real life refresh. And I always appreciate when people are sharing real life stories because I really do feel like they help us make sense of our lives. And that's one of the reasons why I like to scrapbook real life stories like this. It gives me an opportunity to reflect. It gives me an opportunity to kind of think about how do I want to move forward through this. And you're getting to play with texture and with color and with words and with photos and adding them all together there as well. Another thing that she did that I really wanted to point out, and that I think that lots of the creative team members are really good at doing this, and it's not really something that I thought about before until I saw how they were using it, is where they take the 3x4 journal cards or the 4x6 journal cards, and they are simply enlarging them to be a full page 6x8. So they're making them bigger, which is giving them it's a whole new look to these journal cards, and then adding their content on top. So on here, Jenny added the she printed her text or story on vellum and then added that on top of the enlarged journal card there, and then also cut out the word refresh with the silhouette with some textured cardstock to add that on as her title. She also used 3 cork geotags, which I just love. I love that the triangle that is created with those 3 embellishments. All right, next up we have Jess. A couple things to note on Jess is I love, she's really great at leaving space in the photos for journaling. So finding some white space in her photos to be able to document just some of the fun things that are happening with her kids. Like, it's just a really enjoyable way to approach this. I also like how she really just simply uses the invitation that come on the journal cards to tell a story about what you're saying yes to right now and what you're saying no to right now, at least in terms of this kit, right? I try, as I am designing these products, to literally invite you to just tell a story. Like, you do not have to overthink this. Use those cards as the jumping off point to get more of your stories told. Here is a lovely one from Kelly, and one of the things that I really like about Kelly's approach in general, especially as I've been doing these videos and thinking in more depth about the way that each of the creative team members use the products and the things that they do regularly. One of the things that I like about Kelly's approach is that she's very reflective. She is somebody that I feel like really looks for beauty and then records it in a very simple photo-centric way with just a few little sentiments added in there. And I think that this is such a great reminder to so many of us, if you have older kids or you're having a hard time identifying what kind of stories you want to tell, start really small. Like, really look for the beautiful things that are happening in your life, these things that you just may be missing, that we're walking right past because we're moving too fast or we have too many things going on. Like, the ability to slow down and really be a witness to the really little details of beauty that are happening in your lives. I think this Kelly's work is a really great reminder of that as well. And again, she's also enlarging the digital cards to the size that she wants to work with in this like a 6x8 size here. Next up, we have Laura, and Laura has a full page photo with the content built on top. I love this again. This is going back to what I was just talking about, the idea of paying attention and then recording some of the little details. And where you may see Kelly focusing a lot on nature and the things that are happening outside or the way that the flowers are blooming. In Laura's life and in the season of life that she's in right now, she has a young daughter. So a lot of the details that she is seeing are related to her. And I think for so many of us, we are all in different seasons. And I think that's an important reminder to all of us that you may be in a completely different season, but you have to be in the season that you're in. Like, that's where the beauty of now, I think, really comes through. So in Laura's case here, she took the March Details digital piece, laid it on top of that photo, and then just identified each of the people in her family and then wrote a little bit about what the details were happening for each one of them right now. really, this is easy. I mean, everybody could do that, right? I love that as well. And then here's another one from Mel, and here's one where she is also using, again, the idea of the details of the month, but executed in a completely different way. So first off, she has 3 photos along the top of her 3 daughters. I love how she put the numbers on there for the ages, right? 13, 5, and 9. And then kind of this idea of home and what are the details that each one of the kids are into right now. So asking them, right? Interviewing them. And she's taken the content from the journaling cards that had this March details that, like I said, these are coming out in each one of the digital kits this year for the specific months. And then asking them, what are you loving? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you eating? What are you drinking? And where are you going right now? Like how her middle daughter, the 5-year-old, says, where is she going? She's going everywhere mom goes. And I love the comparison and the comparing and contrasting all 3 of the kids at one time. This is totally something that I would like to do with all 5 of our kids and have them answer each one of those things and then bring them together on a layout. So great jumping off point for a variety of different stories there. Next up, we have a Project Life spread from Lisa. A couple things I wanted to point out in Lisa's spread this time. I really like how she used the word art on a shaped photo. Actually, the Bring on the Sun, I believe, is a circle embellishment. And so she has then masked an image inside that circle so that sunset or sunrise there, and then added the Bring on the Sun word art or enlarged it, and then had her text move around that circle for her journaling there. I think that looks really cool. And then she did something similar up here on the top, just a little bit different though, that she took the raindrop shape. She masked a photo inside that raindrop shape. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm talking about masking and with these digital files, again, this is something that I go over in the hybrid workshop, which is a great jumping off point if you're looking to start working with some of these digital products. It is specifically targeted to people that do memory keeping and specifically targeted to doing these kinds of things that you are seeing my creative team do here as well. So she has a photo masked into the raindrop shape, and then she has the Rain Go Away word art layered on top of that, and then she has used her journaling to flow around the edges there. So repeating the shape of an embellishment with a photo on the inside, I think, is a really fun and creative way to use some of these digital products. Then we've got next up a page from Lori, and there's definitely a few things that I love about this one. One, I love just the repetition of the shape. So taking that Rain Go Away shape, repeating that over and over again. I also like how she took the raindrop shape, right? This is separate from the word art piece, but the raindrop shape, and she recolored it a variety of different times. I think this is how she did it, unless it's vellum, which it could be that too. And she has that on top, so you can still see the rain go away part, but you also see a little bit of color on top of each of those raindrops, and colors that she's pulled from the pattern paper that she has along the edge there. I thought that turned out really cool. I love the stitching, the vertical stitching over top of a bunch of those raindrops too. I think that looks really cool. And I also love that what she did is she took, the sentiment, this rain go away sentiment, which is here in Oregon, where I live in the Pacific Northwest, where it rains all the time. We like to say rain go away. We love the rain, actually, because it makes everything very green. But her story, what she did is she took that and she turned it around, which is rain don't go away, talking about how they love the rain and they're happy to have the rain there. And I thought that was a fun twist on being able to take these products and make them into a story that works for you. And then we have Theresa here at the end, wrapping it up in her lovely little traveler's notebook here. I just thought it was really fun to be reminded of the different ways that you can get photos in here. Sometimes she will put them in a full page photo, and other times she's using an instant camera, which is what she's got going on here. And she paired those with the half circle printed digital embellishments. And then over on the other side, she's got the March Stories journal card that has been enlarged to be able to fit the size of traveler's notebook that she is working on. All right, what else? Yep, that was the adjusting the size of the background there. All right, that is a look at the digital kit, and let me know if you have any questions.